Upper Normandy is a French region with a rich wealth of exceptional natural heritage and great potential for industrial and port-related activity due to its favourable geographical location. Densely populated as it is, Upper Normandy is directly faced with major risks of natural and technology-related disaster. The fact that more than 80 Seveso category chemical and oil plants are based here, contributing to the region's economic wealth, has required the authorities to take steps to prevent and protect against the dangers. Industrial activity can be a cause of immediate and serious consequences for people and buildings, the main risks being fire, explosion and release of toxic chemicals. Given such potential dangers, emergency plans have been designed. These plans may be two types: POI, or on-site response if the incident is restricted to the site itself, or PPI, off-site emergency response, where the incident is likely to have repercussions outside the facility. Where the local population may be affected, they are regularly kept up to date on what they must do in the event of an incident. In order to reinforce site security and human safety, exercises are organised by the authorities. These enable the reliability of installations and the competence of personnel to be verified in all types of situations.
Hello, fire service. Okay, you don't know what materials are involved. Hydrogen. Loic? A call from the chief. An explosion in section 15100. Any casualties? No casualties. Okay, you can initiate an internal response for me immediately. This is the fire control center. This is an exercise. Fire in section 15100, block 20.
These exercises also test the functioning of the crisis response structure and coordination between industrial operators, prefecture and emergency services, plus the procedures for informing the public and ensuring they take shelter indoors. In October 2007, the Prefect for Seine-Maritime organised a civil emergency exercise in Notre-Dame de Gravenchon to test the off-site emergency response plan for the Port Jérôme area.
Okay, we'll close up here. We're closing access, so there's no possibility of entering the area. We have a secure perimeter in terms of access. I've just passed on the information. We have activated the sub-PPI team.
Sub-PPI, a procedure enabling the emergency response to be ramped up quickly if an incident takes a turn for the worse. Director of On-Site Operations. His role is to coordinate resources within the company to respond to an incident. This is an anticipatory phase that does not necessarily lead on to a full off-site emergency response plan.
We need to get the public fire and ambulance services in place where necessary. We have to take account of the sealing of the site perimeter and therefore all installation services. The communications department at the prefecture will also take care of queries from the media. Hello, Public Safety Department. When faced with a serious event of this type, or the potential for a major disaster, the prefect will set up at the prefecture what is called a departmental operations center, where we are now, and it is from here that he will organize the services and personnel he needs to manage the crisis.
Several crisis teams are set up to manage the incident and the emergency response as effectively as possible. A crisis centre at the industrial facility, a field control centre in the relevant local community, lastly a departmental operations centre at the prefecture.
So, what area do you think is affected?
Given the wind direction, there is a potential problem for the town of Notre-Dame de Gravenchon.
Perimeter closure is ready and we only need to request it. So I suggest we initiate the off-site emergency response plan. It's now 9:30 a.m. The risk is definitely toxic. So I confirm PPI initiation at 9:30 a.m. You can start the sirens, and we need to call the local radio stations, France Bleu and Radio Résonance, immediately so they can announce it on air.
I'll contact the police and the gendarmerie to set up the roadblocks around Gravenchon.
The initiation of a PPI is announced by a siren to tell a local population they must comply with certain safety rules, in particular to take shelter indoors. Schools are ready for this kind of incident. The children are looked after, which means that parents should not call a school or go there to pick them up.
What do you think is happening, children? Okay, quickly. Everybody in position.
Ça plie bien dans le coin. On y va. Ouais, on va la faire bientôt là.
If you are near a window, I'd like you to move over nearer the others. You never know. And we'll carry on working normally.
This is a civil emergency exercise. Stay in your homes. Listen to France Bleu Upper Normandy on FM radio 100.1.
Local inhabitants must take shelter indoors. Do not use the telephone. Pedestrians and drivers in the streets must take shelter in shops and other nearby buildings.
They're well aware of what to do. A brochure has been distributed with the title Quiet Confidence. Quiet confidence means staying indoors, closing doors and windows, sealing them off with adhesive tape, turning off ventilation systems, extinguishing naked flames, listening to local Normandy public radio on FM 100.1, and waiting for announcements from the Préfecture or the Town Hall. The role of the mayor is to assist the prefect in responding to the emergency.
Once the emergency siren has gone off, staying in the street, failing to take shelter indoors, or leaving windows open is to put yourself needlessly at risk. The whole thing's organised from two control centres, a departmental operations centre and a field control centre. You might say that the military HQ is in the regional prefecture, with the forces engaged on the ground controlled by the operations command post. This means it's the job of the field control centre to handle the situation, while the departmental centre keeps Paris informed and anticipates requirements as and when they're notified by the field control centre. All services must be able to operate properly, deciding on the best way of protecting the public, evacuation or shelter in place. Due to its proximity to the incident, the local municipality is the baseline organisational level for coping with an incident. It's part of a system with three other levels: département, geographical zone and government, in which the government can ramp up capacity by deploying special or additional resources. In all cases, the mayor works with the prefect for the département. At the level of the département, the prefecture's operations system is structured around two command bodies. The Departmental Operations Centre at the Prefecture is organised around the Defence and Public Safety Department, known as the Sirocet Control Centre. The Departmental Operations Centre is headed up by the Prefect, who directs the emergency response using the whole range of services provided by the government, local authorities and operators as and when relevant to the crisis, with the aim of taking steps defined in the off-site emergency response plan. The Field Control Centre is sited as close as possible to where the action is, while remaining outside the danger zone. It's headed up by a deputy prefect responsible for coordinating the personnel responding on the ground. The Departmental Operations Centre and the Field Control Centre cover all the services needed to resolve the crisis. The Mayor, the Prefecture's representatives, the company, technical staff and operational personnel, which notably includes the police, the gendarmerie the fire department and the SAMU emergency medical service.
We are in the process of contacting the 4 establishments to tell them to continue to shelter indoors, because there is still the possibility of harm, not from toxic chemicals as such, but a risk of respiratory problems for vulnerable individuals.
Lillebonne Hospital has been put on preliminary alert, for example. A bed inventory has been started.
I've arranged for all primary and secondary schools to be called. They've been tested by the exercise and everything is going well. Shelter-in-place procedures have been properly executed. So I have 111 children and 5 adults present. The civil emergency exercise is currently underway at Notre-Dame de Gravenchon. The scenario involves a fire that began in a steam cracking unit at ExxonMobil. They say there is a risk of a toxic cloud. Is everything okay here? We have just heard an announcement on the radio telling us why the siren went off. There's a bit of a problem at the refinery at the moment. They are coping with it, but there's a danger of a toxic cloud over Notre-Dame de Gravenchon.
I've just heard an announcement. Is it official? Apparently the fire's under control.
The fire is out, so they're carrying out inspections to see whether there's a risk.
Full-scale exercises are scheduled regularly in order to organise the emergency response and warning procedures. After the exercise, a debriefing is held with all the services that have taken part in order to get their feedback. In-depth analysis has been carried out with the various participants, enabling lessons to be learned. Feedback from civil emergency exercises can lead to changes in response plans and crisis response organisation for greater effectiveness.
Exercise over. Thank you to all the inhabitants of Notre-Dame de Gravenchon for following the instructions to the letter.
Gentlemen, the alert is over. We can open up now.
The risk management policy provides for practical exercises to test the effectiveness of emergency plans. The scale of the risks in Seine-Maritime justifies frequent exercises of this kind. It's essential to involve the public in them to ensure that they are aware of the risks in case it ever happens and how to respond if it does. It's true that every member of the public needs to take responsibility for his or her own safety.
Okay, I'll pass it on. End of shelter in place.
Local inhabitants must take shelter indoors. Do not use the telephone. Pedestrians and drivers in the streets must take shelter in shops or other nearby buildings.